So it turns out they can make it like they used to, as action comedy's spoof parody film The Naked Gun the Reboot is so good. And this is a legacy sequel from the highly acclaimed 80s and 90s films with the brilliant Leslie Nielsen. And I thought it was a really clever idea by making Liam Neeson's character actually his son. And through this, they were able to recapture all of the brilliant bombastic buffoonery in such a good way. And I feel like that opening sequence with the bank heist was so cleverly done. Firstly, I love the fact that he ripped off his face in the exact same way, parodying how they do it in Mission Impossible. And at this point, we have seen so many bank heist sequences, so I loved it how they were able to make it both original and innovatively unique as well. And I'm sure that they would have loved to have made more money in the box office, but I am glad that it wasn't a complete flop. And actually, in my opinion, it was pretty successful for something that you don't really typically see being made at all, to be honest, for a box office space. And I suppose they could have gone down one of two directions, making it really classic like the originals and not really tapping into modern technology, or they could have really driven that point home and made this film all about technology. But I feel like they balanced that in such a clever way, as modern tech is definitely there and it definitely is a big part of the villain story, but I feel like they didn't overdo it, so it is able to really tap into nostalgia in such a clever way. And speaking of tapping into the original legacy movies, I feel like they had so many elaborate sequences. For example, Liam Neeson coming down, of course the montage involving the snowman was absolutely hilarious, and all of the little sequences, for example in the apartments, in the police stations, every single sequence, I feel like they were able to bring together all of the action and the comedy in such a slick way. So let's go through the cast and characters now. So I feel like Liam Neeson is able to pick up the mantle of playing Frank Drebin Jr. in such an incredible way. I mean, we have seen Liam Neeson playing loads of different characters, usually in a very similar way, and this definitely does have the quintessential Liam Neeson in there, but I just love the fact that he wasn't afraid to totally laugh not only at himself, but also approaching these situations with such a comedic, deadpan approach. And I feel like the end product and the end result is absolutely hilarious, and he's not afraid of literally being the brunt of the joke and laughing at himself. For example, that infrared sequence, like I said, in the bank, when he is easily defeating all of these characters in such a hilarious way, trying to get out of the car that the evil villain is controlling. And like I said, all of the big set pieces were just really, really brilliant too. Pamela Anderson, very similarly, wasn't afraid of laughing at herself. I think she was hilarious with the microphone at that party, and I feel like they naturally brought her character into the mystery in terms of her brother passing away, and she wants to try to figure out who is the person that did this. I thought Paul Walter Hauser was really, really good too. So funny. I mean, it's such slapstick comedy, but for example, when the electronic car was just whacking him, I feel like all of those sequences were really, really funny. If anything, I wish they would have seen a little bit more of him, and if they do go down the sequel route, I hope that they make it a little bit more buddy cop based, as he could potentially be so good as the sidekick. Danny Huston, I feel like he was good. I feel like he could have amped it up a little bit more, as he did what he needed to do. He didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but I just feel like from a villainous perspective, he could have just done a little bit more. But that being said, from a character point of view, I love the fact that it was a little bit over the top in terms of trying to take over the world, but do it in a new way with smartphones and really tapping into the animalistic aspects of people and really turning this into rage. Loved all of the cameos. I feel like they could have done a little bit more as well with Busta Rhymes' character. But at a time where everybody is so desperate for an Austin Powers 4, I feel like the Naked Gun reboot is able to fill that void in a really good way. But overall, I have to say, I feel like the Naked Gun reboot is really, really successful. You will definitely leave this movie feeling happier, feeling more cheerful, and I'm really hopeful that they do go down the road and making more films like this, as this one was so successful in demonstrating that there is an audience for this kind of film. And speaking of the Naked Gun franchise, I hope that this legacy reboot sequel does lead to more sequels being made and potentially even a spin-off TV show. But as far as the Naked Gun reboot is concerned, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of the Naked Gun reboot? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.